I was driving to work this morning, I was listening to another radio station, as we broadcasters sometimes do. What I heard shocked and saddened me.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They're here, nerds.
Wait, is this the group that goes around mutilating squirrels?
You just mind your P's and Q's, Buster, and remember who you're dealing with.
Well, at least we found them.
Fortuitous, Captain. And now that we have them all together,
you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They make one person go, blah, 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 and the other person go, what are you talking about? And then one person goes, blah, 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 blah.
From the mind of one David Robertson.
Beautiful.
He's running a little late this morning, but don't worry, all is well. As a matter of fact, a lot of changes around, most notably from the one who is sitting across from me, who you just heard from. Long time no hear from, Josh.
I'm sorry. I went around and tried a few other stations, saw if I could find a better place, but I finally came back home.
There is no better place.
There's no better place than the Entertainment Roundtable.
Right. It's always good to be home. Welcome into the show, the Entertainment Roundtable. Ryan on the phone. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Steve. How are you? Hope everyone had a marvelous week.
Well said.
Nice.
Actually, most people have already done the Marvel side of things. They went over to talk about eating a lot, so to speak.
Yes.
Welcome into the show. Jeff, feeling a little bit under the weather, so the man behind the board is Dustin.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm peachy. How are you?
Can't complain.
Jeff just heard I was coming in and got scared. You know,
is that what it is?
Things have been happy around
Faking
here.
the whole under the weather thing?
You know, it's just it's been a safe place for him the last few weeks. Now I'm back and people are running scared.
Gotcha. I understand fully. All right, stop me if you have seen this film and have not had the chance to talk about it on the air. Top 10 movies of last week. Last Vegas coming in 2.6 million, 58.6 million overall. Actually watched it.
Was it good?
Pretty fun.
Yeah, I heard it was
pretty fun film.
It was like the old guy's Hangover.
Yeah, pretty much. Black Nativity in at number 9, 3.6 million, so 4.8 for that. Something called Philomena, this is the first time I've ever heard of this. Yeah. I don't even remember this coming out in limited release. But there it is. It made 3.6 million, so it's made 4.6 million overall. I have no clue.
Judi Dench is in it.
Is she really?
Yes.
Do you know what the film's about?
Vaguely. It's about a woman who gave up a child for adoption a long, long time ago, and she gets a journalist to help her find them.
Ooh, I could see that actually gaining an audience, especially with Dame Judi Dench. I bet she does a very good job in that.
Yes.
And just as we talk about the fact that he was going to be a little late, there he is, David Robertson. Hello, David.
Hi.
We need microphone number, what is that, 4 up. There we go. And we're in.
Hi.
Hey, welcome in. Glad you could make it.
What's going on?
Everything good? What's with the cut above your eyebrow?
Well, when a man loves a woman, he gets a job. He gets a job with sharp objects involved. And in the course of doing said job, he hits his head sometimes on sharp corners.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
I'm not going any further with that.
Sounds like a trailer for a great movie.
With Seth Rogen in it or something.
I'm thinking I've just come up with a promo for next week.
Perfect.
Yes.
Anyway, as we move on, up to number 7, The Book Thief, 4.8 million, 7.9. This thing's getting grave reviews from the critics, but it's in limited release. Is this a film, and I'll leave this open to Ryan, Josh, anybody who might know, is this going to get a wider release, or is this going to stay limited release?
I think it may open in wider release eventually, and it's also getting some Oscar buzz, if I remember correctly.
See, that's what's making me think that this is going to get into wider release here pretty soon because of the fact that it is getting that Oscar buzz.
Yep.
Its theater count is pretty big. I mean, they're at 1,000 theaters right now.
Yeah, but when you think something like Hunger Games is in over 4,000
Yeah, but I don't know if this has that kind of buzz. I mean, I imagine it will get up to, a few, maybe 1,000 more theaters. I don't think it's going to
get
get
up to
much
about 2,000 or so.
Yeah.
Okay. Delivery Man at number 6. This movie is really just falling on its face. $6.8 million. It's only made $19.4 million for a Vince Vaughn film. Not good. Homefront in at number 5. 6.9 million. 9.7. Let me ask this question here of Ryan specifically. My wife is actually interested in it. She's gotten infatuated apparently with Jason Statham. How is this movie? What was this movie projected to do? Right about what it's doing? Is it doing better, worse? What?
No, I think it was projected to make that kind of money because they already knew there was going to be holdover from Hunger Games and the arrival of Disney's Frozen. So
okay. So what kind of ratings is this thing getting on like Rotten Tomatoes? People liking it, not liking it? What?
I believe it got a 32% rating.
That's not good.
It's a Jason Statham movie. No
Yeah,
one
you pretty much
really
you're going to
likes
walk
it.
in there, you know what you're going to get.
It's like McDonald's. You just kind of go there because you know what to expect, and sometimes
Well, yeah,
it's good.
I mean, you walk into a Jason Statham movie, you pretty much know exactly what you're going to get. You either like that or you don't.
He's like the same character. You should look up on YouTube. Jason Statham's Got a Job, and it's like every film he has a job or something he has to. It's really funny. You should
So
look it
far,
up.
I say that my wife has become infatuated with Jason Statham recently.
Yeah?
I can tell you this because I know so far she hasn't watched the remake that Statham did of Death Race.
Goodness,
If she sees that, she probably won't be as happy.
it will end.
I'm thinking. Up to number 4, The Best Man Holiday doing great numbers, 8.1 million, 63.1. And then you get the 3 that made double digits.
Oh, yes.
Thor, The Dark World, another 11 million, $186.7 million for that, but far, far outstripped by the 2 that are above it. In at number 2, the movie that Ryan saw last week, the Disney animated film Frozen, $67.3 million over the weekend, and because it opened up actually the day before Thanksgiving officially, over the weekend it tallied $93.9 million. And you said, Ryan, that you were giving it, I think, a 4?
Yeah, because I'm not the biggest fan of characters breaking out in song, even though that's a classic Disney move, but at the same time, it was the most original Disney movie we've seen in a long time.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Disney's been really, really quiet for the most part, kind of putting themselves behind Pixar. Pixar's really had the high-profile stuff.
Pixar has been better.
Yeah.
I haven't really liked a musical per se cartoon. I mean, I don't know. Did Lilo and Stitch? Did they actually sing along? Yeah, they sang along. I liked Lilo and Stitch, and I liked Beauty and the Beast. It was like one of the greatest movies ever made. So,
Okay.
I am a fan of those kind of movies when they're done right.
Yeah.
But I have not seen this yet.
I went to go see Frozen last weekend. Jacob and I went to go check it out. Jacob gave it the exact same rating that Ryan did. He gave it a 4.
We speak for Jacob today.
Yes. I will admit, I kind of agree.
Really?
Yeah.
Disappointing.
Artistically, this thing is beautiful. I mean, just absolutely, just the visuals of it is fantastic. The story, if you've seen a Disney movie about a prince and a princess, you've seen
there, done
Frozen.
that.
You've seen Frozen. All it is the details. And the details, again, the details are beautiful, and the families are going to love it. The kids are going to go gaga. If you've got a kid who's 10 years or under, they're going to love this film if they're into Disney at all.
Been there,
and
done that.
and love stories. I say that because Dustin over there's got a 9-year-old boy. I don't know whether he's into love stories.
I don't think he's really into princesses, but I mean, you talk about that. You talk about the prince and princesses of Disney. The thing that strikes me is they're looking for that new kind of, I guess, princess to put out there to add to the collection.
I mean, they're
That's exactly what
it's
it
a
is.
franchise, man.
Yeah.
I know how excited you are of the new princess, Dustin.
I am just thrilled.
Since Tangled, he's been on on the edge of his seat.
You and I talked about this off the air before the show actually started, Josh. In the end credits, it states that this was based upon a Hans Christian Andersen short story called The Snow Queen. Knowing what they did to another short story of his, The Little Mermaid, now I got to go back and I got to read the short story to see exactly how Disneyfied this thing is.
Disneyfied. I'm for it. Let's
But
do it. And then we'll come on the air and horrify all the children.
Exactly, but they have a hit on their hands. $93.9 million in its opening
A
weekend
lot of the
from
people,
Wednesday night through Sunday.
minus the grown men at this table that went and saw a Disney princess film, actually liked it. I had over Thanksgiving break, I was with some people, and they said that they brought their whole family to go see it, and they thought,
oh, this is a family film.
They in their words, they're like, yeah, Disney's back.
It is pretty intense, though, and that's why, as opposed to a lot of Disney animated films, this actually has garnered a PG rating. It can get pretty intense with some of the visuals and how things are kind of
Someone told me they went a little original, but it was like the sister's love that brought them back to life instead of it being like a prince's love or something like that. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah,
I heard
it's
the
not like
snowman.
it's not like Sleeping Beauty melting, or waking up.
And then I heard all the little kids came up to me and were joking about how much they loved the snowman because he was singing about what he's going to do in the summer.
Actually, the snowman was kind of annoying after a while.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't I just thought it was funny that he was singing about what he's going to do in the summer.
He's good for comic
he's gonna
relief,
melt.
but he can get to the point where you're like, okay, I've had enough of the snowman.
Okay, that makes sense.
But that's their spin-off point. They're going to do a next movie called Thawed.
Thawed. Yes. Yes.
And then you get to the number one film of the weekend,
yes.
and to nobody's surprise, The Hunger Games Catching Fire. Over the weekend alone, just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, this doesn't include Thanksgiving Day, just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, this thing made $74.1 million.
Goodness gracious.
As of Monday morning's official tally, 296.3. We are now into the next weekend. This thing's well over $300 million already.
That's out of control. It's going to make over $400 million. I remember we talked about that last time, I think.
Oh, yeah. This thing is going to outstrip its predecessor.
It's going to, and it has to. Honestly, in the book series, this is kind of like the Dark Knight for the Batman franchise.
A lot of people were saying this is the Empire Strikes Back of the Hunger Games.
That's interesting.
If you look at it that way. And most people who are into Star Wars, me, say that The Empire Strikes Back was the best of the original trilogy.
That's what I've been
told.
And
I agree totally. So far, I agree. This
is based off the second book. The second book is supposed to be one of the best ones.
Yeah.
And now, on the third book, I'm actually going to go back and read it now.
I just got done with the audiobook on it.
Oh, yeah? I'm going to read the third one, not the first two, because I want to see how it ends, because it leaves you a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So, Steve, as someone who's read the next chapter, is it going to be the Return of the Jedi?
I've heard it's kind of a downer.
I'm afraid what they're going to find is it's not necessarily going to. It is a little bit on the depressing side. I'll break that.
But they're changing it up a bit in the story.
Well, we'll see about that. If she try now that we know that this is being flipped into 2 movies instead of just one,
which is interesting.
You can get a lot more into detail and probably stick a little bit closer to the book than what we've seen out of the first 2 films.
Yep.
But I think what we're going to have is a little bit of the Harry Potter syndrome.
Okay.
Harry Potter did their final film into 2 different films, and the first one was actually kind of slow, but the second one had all the action.
Yep.
I'm thinking they might have to move around some of the timeline to get some of the action into the first film on this one.
Yeah. And if it's anything like Harry Potter, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
These last 2 movies were incredible.
Well, this thing right here, in the first film, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, made what? Slightly above $400 million?
Yeah.
I believe so, and in its opening weekend alone, the original Hunger Games made $150 million.
Okay, so this one looks like it's going to outstrip it. This one looks like it's going to be $450 to $500 mil.
Yep,
somewhere in that area. It's what it's looking like right now.
I would agree with that. I don't know if they had as many IMAXs last time either.
That's going to create major buzz for the first film, which will be entitled Mockingjay, because that's the name of the book. It's going to create major buzz. They're going to have to live up to it. That's the thing, which is why I'm saying they may end up shifting some things around and putting some more action into the first of, part 1 of Mockingjay.
Right.
Otherwise, they're going to have a real problem trying to get into that second one in my mind.
I think that they're going to knock it out of the park. I love the director, and I think it's going to be good. I want to read the third book now.
There you go.
What they're going to do.
Out this week, really only one big-name film. It's called Out of the Furnace, and it is a big one. Christian Bale, Casey Affleck, Zoe Saldana. You got Sam Shepard and more. About a down-and-out steel mill worker whose brother disappears after returning from the Iraq War. He gets lured into a crime ring. Steel mill worker ends up taking matters into his own hands. Wow, we just lost Ryan.
It was good while he was here.
I'm sure he will call back.
It sounded like he was drowning.
Yes, didn't it? This is a film I've got some interest in. You seem to have some interest in it.
Yeah, well, I liked Crazy Heart, and the director directed that one. It was the Jeff Bridges. I guess he was I don't know what musician he was playing or if it was based on a real character, but I thought it was a very good movie.
On a real character, yeah.
I'm not sure if it was. And it had Maggie Gyllenhaal in it, and it was Jeff Bridges, and I thought it was a pretty good movie. I liked it a lot, and it's kind of had a lot of critical acclaim, and I think it did pretty well at the box office.
Yeah.
I like his gritty style. I don't know how Christian Bale does not have diabetes from fluctuating. From this movie, he looks skinny and kind of worn like he did in the beginning of Batman, the last Batman movie. And then the American Hustle trailers, it looks like he gained 60 pounds and looks like kind of. I mean, his heart is going to go out or something.
He's the Tom Hanks of our generation.
He really is. But you know that Tom Hanks is
he's been
diagnosed with diabetes.
I know, that's why I said it.
And he's blaming it on the amount of weight that he's gained and lost. Yeah, he has blamed it on the amount of weight that he's gained and lost. But I've heard doctors who are refuting that.
Yeah, why?
They say that's not what is going to do it.
Severe
up and down on weight is not going to cause you to have diabetes. So I don't know. Again, that's one doctor's opinion as opposed to everybody else.
Opposed to Tom Hanks' opinion.
I guess I got to ask this question. Have you seen Hunger Games: Catching Fire?
I'm actually insulted by this question.
Ryan's just having all kinds of problems, isn't he?
I feel like he's trying to go through the radio.
Yeah, he may be. And the reason I asked that is because of the fact that we haven't gotten a review of it.
You have not, but I think a good story. I mean, I don't want to monopolize on the time, but I have a good story.
How much time do we have here so far?
I can do like a fast
version.
We're
at 14:50.
Okay, we got a couple minutes. Come on.
Okay. That was my fast version. I was trying to fast forward. So, so I was a procrastinator, and I'm like, there's no way the IMAX is going to fill out for, I guess it was the 8 o'clock showing.
Well.
So I get down to Patton Creek, and IMAX is sold out for the 8 o'clock showing.
See, I'm so disappointed he didn't call me and tell me, hey, listen, I want to go to the film.
I wanted to go to the film too. Here was the deal, Steve. I love my friends at Alabaster, but I had to watch that in IMAX.
Okay.
It would possess me. So I go down to the Patton Creek movie, and I buy a 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And then I bought another ticket. I bought a one to the 8 o'clock in 2D, and in a smaller theater. It wasn't in 3D. It was 2D, smaller theater, double feature of the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Hunger Games 1, Hunger Games 2. But they were doing that at the same time at the IMAX, starting at 8. So I went in, I snuck into the IMAX one. But
I cheated.
I didn't necessarily, if the theater company is hearing this, I didn't rip them off because I actually did buy for the 12 o'clock as well. So I actually paid more for my tickets than most people did.
There you go.
So I got in there, and here was the deal. We found a little clause in it. More people went to the second one, but the double feature and they went together. They flowed together.
Yeah.
So I grandfathered my way in, and if the managers at Patton Creek are hearing this, I'm sorry, but I snuck into the IMAX 8 o'clock without a ticket and watched it. And
Ryan,
it was great.
are you hearing this?
Yeah, I'm hearing this story. What did you think of Catching Fire, though, buddy?
Yep.
Yeah,
we got to get your review.
It was a good
Go
story,
for it.
though. Except I was in the front row looking up the whole time, so
Oh,
it was like being on the bottom.
Not only was that an IMAX, it was in really
I got to
big
know
IMAX.
Jennifer Lawrence's nose really well. Yeah. So I thought the movie was freaking awesome. Loved it. Oh my gosh, everything I thought it would be and better. I loved everything about it. The action, the pacing, the new characters, the way the director kind of made this a lot bigger. I loved how big it felt. I love that it explored the world that is the Hunger Games. All the different colonies, I guess they call them, or districts. I loved all the new characters, and yeah, I would say out of this movie, I'd probably give it out of 10. Probably give it a 9. I loved it.
Well, that's a really high rating for you.
Yeah, I loved it.
That's a real high rating for you.
I love Jennifer Lawrence. Thought her performance was great.
Yeah.
I actually kind of started to like her. What's his name in the movie? The blonde guy.
Gale.
Gale.
Peta.
Peta, the guy that she went to the
Okay.
Hunger Games with, and
Yeah.
I hated him in the first movie.
Did you?
And I started liking him now, and less liking the Hemsworth brother.
Yeah.
So it's the love triangle. I like love triangles in a movie. I know that's probably chick flickish of me, but I always like when that happens.
Hey, it's in the film. I mean,
there you go. I like it.
You've got your people just like they were in Twilight, and I can't remember the names
but
of
no,
those
it's
guys.
not just Jacob and
I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, you've got the
Jacob
people
and-
that are out there that are on Team Gale. You got the people that are out there on Team Peta.
And I like that about the film. So
Yeah.
I loved it. That was a long story, probably too long. But
9 out of 10 for Josh.
9
is,
out of 10.
that's
And
big.
I'm on Team Katniss, who's empowered, doesn't need a man.
but you want to be her man.
Yeah,
No.
probably. Well,
No? Okay.
No.
I question that.
We'll see
but-
how that. Out in limited
he's
release.
saying that 'cause his girlfriend's
If you're so
listening.
interested, you might have to do
Yes.
some searching around.
No.
You've got a movie called Inside Llewyn Davis. It stars Carey Mulligan, Justin Timberlake, John Goodman. It's actually got some big names. A movie called Crave, which stars Ron Perlman. You've got Michelle Monaghan in a movie called Expecting. There's something called Kumba, Khumba. You've also got a film called The Last Days on Mars, starring Liv Schreiber. And there's a movie about a loose teenager trying to climb the social ladder, doing it the wrong way. It's called Sex Acts.
Yes.
Whatever.
I'm sure.
Whatever.
I'm sure you'll all be there.
Yeah, really.
The Mars one.
Last Days on Mars.
That comes out next week.
Comes out in limited release this week.
That's interesting. They're going limited release. I watched the trailer. It actually looks good. It just my first impression was like, oh, it's too bad he had to come out after Prometheus and Gravity, because it just feels like a lesser movie.
Well, here's the thing. They kind of had to jump on this because when you look at the lineup that's coming out next weekend, and this isn't the lineup that's coming out Christmas Day, which is also a big hitting lineup. This is just this coming weekend. Hobbit, Desolation of Smog, Tyler Perry's A Medea Christmas, American Hustle, and Saving Mr. Banks. Saving Mr. Banks.
I'm going to spend a lot of time in the movies the next couple of weeks.
I mean, hello.
Yep.
So, yeah, big time.
And the Wannabe Prometheus and Wannabe Gravity movie comes out.
Exactly. When we come back, we found out last weekend that a gentleman who we know probably best from the Fast and Furious franchise lost his life. We'll talk about him, and we'll talk about how that is going to affect the Fast and Furious franchise, and so much more as the Entertainment Roundtable continues here. Superstation 101 WYDE.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
Hey, welcome back in, listening to the Entertainment Roundtable, and as we usually do, we come back to music from a movie that's coming out this week. Yeah, I couldn't find anything in a film that's coming out this week that was worth playing, so I went back to an old favorite. We did this a couple of weeks ago. This is off the soundtrack to the movie Delivery Man. It's Thunderstruck by AC/DC. All right, here we go. First up, let's talk about this here. Last weekend, Paul Walker, best known for the Fast and the Furious film franchise, he died last weekend in a high-speed crash where he was riding in the car. Paul Walker was 40 years old. Ryan, we know that they were filming, what is this, installment number 7? What's the deal here? How is this going to affect it? What are they going to do? Have they said?
Yes, after this great tragedy of losing Paul Walker, very, very sad. Thoughts and prayers go out to his friends as well as his family. For Fast and Furious 7, they were about halfway done shooting this sequel already.
Yep.
So now they're trying to figure out what they're going to be doing next. Right now they're saying that the production on the film has been delayed. They're going to stop for a little while to mourn the loss of their good friend Paul Walker. But in my opinion, what they should do is find a way to write him as well as Mia's character off, because they had a baby in the 6th film. So if you're going to do Brian O'Connor's character justice, I say write the characters off saying Brian and Mia aren't going on this run. They're living on an island somewhere away from this life. They're not going to be with us on this run, but we're going to take care of business.
Yeah, but they're going to have to figure out, I mean, again, we don't know. We know that they're, what you said, about halfway through filming on this.
Yeah, I know. One of my friends is actually working on it.
So we know that they've done several scenes with him. The question is are they at a point where they can exit him from the film gracefully and not make it seem abrupt?
Yeah, that's the big question. It's a really huge decision that Universal and everybody working on this film is going to have to make.
Yeah, they said it was a disaster. Because I texted him at first, I thought it was a fake.
Yeah.
So I said, "Hey, is this real?" And he said, "It's real." They just shut the whole production down. They're having meetings. They're in rewrites.
Okay, so they're in waiting mode, and this is undeterminable break is basically what we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Tragic.
Yeah, it is. It's a
Seemed
shame.
like a really good guy too.
Yeah, from everything that I've ever read or seen from him. All right. Hey, we do it every single week. Let's get to the superhero update. David, let's start off with a possible Suicide Squad and Team 7 movie and other plans. Apparently, David Goyer and DC Comics have big plans.
Yeah, Goyer and DC Comics are developing a number of lesser-known properties for Warner Brothers: Suicide Squad, Booster Gold, Deathstroke, and Team 7.
For theatrical releases.
Yes, sir. These
Okay.
would be lower-budget features that would help expand the Man of Steel universe without breaking the bank. The biggest priority seems to be adapting Suicide Squad for about $40 million. The team features a bunch of recognizable characters. The current iteration includes the assassin Deadshot, who's already been introduced on Arrow.
Yeah.
Joker, Hench, Winch, Harley Quinn, Commissioner Gordon's villainous son, James Gordon Jr., and King Shark, a giant shark man.
Okay.
It should also be noted that Deathstroke has already been introduced on Arrow, and Team 7 has already been mentioned on Arrow. As for Booster Gold, he's a foolhardy superhero from the future who comes back in time for fame, fortune, and glory, and I'm kind of hoping for Owen Wilson in the role.
Okay. Let's. I want to go down this road for just a second here, and Ryan, jump in at any point in time.
Sure.
One of my biggest disappointments right now is the fact that when you think about what we've got on TV, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you've got the film Thor. They mentioned the film in the episode that aired, a week and a half after the film premiered.
Right.
But they really didn't interlace with it as much as I hope that they would.
Yeah.
Is DC, I hope, going to learn from that and figure, hey, we've got a prime property like Arrow on TV, and they're getting ready to do Flash. We'll talk about that later. Are they going to hopefully figure out a way to interweave the TV and the movie franchises a little bit better?
Well, I don't think it'll work, but hopefully what they're going to try to do is bring in some of these people from the television series and make them movie stars as opposed to doing it the opposite way.
Or at least do some crossover of it.
Because with Marvel, you have these guys who are so big, you can't get them on TV, really.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll go the other way.
Well, yeah. I mean, you were just talking about how some of these characters and Arrow itself are on TV.
Right.
Chances of them making it in, or at least making several scenes.
Now, the only confirmation we've gotten that they are actually putting all of it together is from Guillermo del Toro.
Anything, Ryan?
Well, I haven't heard anything else on this story other than what we've heard, but I will say this, though. You're going to introduce all these characters, that's fine. Go ahead and do it. You want to put them on the big screen? Okay, in some ways I can see where you're going with that, but at the same time, keep your TV universe and your movie universe separate, because otherwise you're going to confuse 6 billion people on this planet, and that's the last thing you want to do with the bank.
I don't think you'll confuse the people.
Well, and we are talking about, we're not talking about Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, those guys. We're talking about people like you were talking about,
Suicide
Deadshot.
Squad,
Yeah,
Deadshot,
you're not talking about main
Deathstroke.
characters. I think interspersing them in some of the movies and then, having him show up every once in a while on the TV series, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think you could overdo it, yeah, but I don't, I think if they do it right. And again, I don't think that Marvel's doing it enough with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. To me, they've got a prime property, and they're letting it die.
Yeah, and Arrow, this last episode of Arrow actually referenced Superman a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. It was
I
nice.
think they're doing it, man.
Yeah, hopefully they will. Speaking of Marvel, let's go over there and let's talk about this first. And I know you have, Ryan. I have teaser trailer, Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I was wondering if you guys were going to talk about that. I just saw it last night.
You saw it. David, seen it?
I have seen it, yeah.
Okay. I'll ask you, Dustin, have you seen it?
I haven't seen anything.
All right, so you're out of this. Ryan, we'll start with you. Your quick thoughts on the teaser trailer that we have.
For The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think it looks awesome. It does look marvelous. It looks epic, but we've had this problem before. You put too many villains in one film, you're going to bite the apple, and you're going to bite off more than you can chew. But at the same time, the story is huge. They're intertwining all these characters with Oscorp, so I say Marvel, just bring it.
Okay. So he's in.
I have a different opinion. Okay. I hated the new rendition of Spider-Man. I thought the villain was so unrealistic and stupid. But okay, here's the deal. Since Batman and Nolan, there's been a new trend. The
You're looking
trend
for more
has
realism.
been realism.
Okay.
Like and it's how Nolan pitched it to, I believe, Warner Brothers when he was pitching him to direct Batman. He said, "I'm going to take Batman and I'm going to make it real." And we've got that with the Batman franchise. And I've loved that. And I think that has rebirthed the superhero genre. I don't like this new spin backwards. I feel it looks like one of the 90s superhero films. Like we have Jamie Foxx is like the Iceman, I guess. Is that what he's playing?
Electro.
No, his character's name is Electro.
Oh, he looks like Iceman that Arnold Schwarzenegger played in the
Freeze?
Freeze or whatever his name is. I don't know. I'm not great with the superheroes, but I like that's why I was excited-ish about Superman, the new one, because they also went that realistic route.
Yeah.
I don't like the over superhero, over superpowers. I don't believe it.
Okay.
But I am excited about the kid from Chronicle who's in it. I love that actor. I forget his name, but right offhand, but he is awesome. So
Dane DeHaan.
Yeah, it's the only redeeming factor about that whole thing.
Okay, so
to me, the trailer looks
you're on the wall.
Stupid.
You're not big on that one, David.
Lame.
What'd you think?
I haven't seen the first one, actually, and I saw the trailer for this one, and it made me say, I've got to go back and watch the other one.
Yeah.
Because I as long as they keep it somewhat grounded, I like it when they're a little more what Marvel's doing with this. They're willing to go the comic book route, but not be silly.
Okay. I went back at the behest of my next-door neighbor and rewatched Amazing Spider-Man with a different look at it, and I came to the conclusion that it wasn't as bad as I had initially thought that it was. It's again, though, it's Spider-Man. I'm still not sure why we rebooted it in the first place, because it was so recently that we had the first three.
And not very originally.
Not terribly, although they did stick a little bit closer to the actual story, which I did like.
I would like to see Spider-Man real. What does Spider-Man really look like in a real world?
So, I don't know. The teaser trailers got me intrigued, but I'm going to wait until we actually get the full first trailer before we go any further with it.
I feel been there, done that.
And yeah, that's kind of one of the things that's got me a little bit paused. It's like, where are we going to go with this that's going to be that much more original from the first film?
Blew my mind about the first Batman.
Yeah.
And the especially the second one. It was just like, this has never been done before. It's real. It feels like we can relate with it.
There you go. Jacob let me know about this. He sent me information that a tweet came from Bryan Singer. Singer, of course, directing next year's X-Men Days of Future Past. He's looking past that already. He's looking at 2016. He sent a simple message out in a tweet that read, quote, X-Men Apocalypse 2016.
I'm so excited for this. So
he's already got the name for the next film. He's got a release year for the next film. Do we have a release date?
Yes, we do. May 27th of 2016 for X-Men Apocalypse.
He's setting himself up, and maybe this is just me, but to me, he's setting himself something of a tight time frame to get all of the things done that he needs to get done, including special effects.
Well, I don't know that that's the name of the movie. I think it's referencing the bad guy.
I've seen more people say that it is actually going to be subtitled Apocalypse since
that would
work. If not the full comic book title of this character, which is The Age of Apocalypse.
Well, that was one of the storylines that he was in, but yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. We know where it's going. X-Men continues to live. And then there's the continuation of Batman versus Superman news. We got the report coming out earlier this week. Ryan, they have cast Wonder Woman. Who is it and where have we seen her before?
Yes, they have. A actress who starred in the Fast and Furious movies 4, 5, and 6 as Giselle. The name of the actress is Gal Gadot. She's going to be taking on the role of Diana Prince / Wonder Woman, and she is going to be appearing in Man of Steel 2, which is going to hit theaters everywhere in 2015, if I remember correctly. July 17th of 2015. So mark your calendars, because if you thought history was going to be made with Batman versus Superman, now we have 3 reasons to go now.
Stepping it up. What has she done before?
She has been in the Fast and Furious films 4, 5, and 6, and she was also making appearances in Date Night as well as Night and Day.
Night and Day.
See,
Okay.
I don't know her. I
That's
haven't
where
seen
I
the
place
Fast
her.
and Furious movies.
That's
or
where I
anything
place her
like
is from
that.
Night and Day, which isn't a great film, but that's where I remember her from. The thing about it is I have this picture in my head of Wonder Woman, and it looks a lot like Linda Carter. And Gal Gadot, with all due respect to her, she's not ugly by any means, but she doesn't look like Linda Carter.
Right. I don't see Linda Carter in my head with Wonder Woman.
I do, but that's just me. Who do
I've
you
seen
see?
the
I don't
show.
know. Who do you see?
I don't really see anyone.
Oh.
I see like an Alex Ross painting. So.
Okay, so you see the cartoon.
No, not the cartoon.
So to speak. The animated version-ish. From one series to another, Jacob told me about the planned 5th movie in the Captain Jack Sparrow saga. This one will be called Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales. According to one report that Jacob came up with, apparently Christoph Waltz is checking out a role in the film. Apparently, he's being linked to the part of Captain Brand. He hasn't yet signed on to the film, so keep this in mind. But according to the storyline, Brand would be a former British military member who is now a ghost and will be haunting Sparrow as Sparrow seeks the trident because Brand blames Sparrow for his brother becoming a pirate. This is 2016, if I'm remembering right, Ryan?
I believe so, but no one's going to see it.
I don't know. Christoph Waltz attached to it.
That's pretty awesome.
I
I love
could
Christoph
see
Waltz,
that
though.
gaining an audience, but I'm thinking $250 million domestically, and it'll probably top out at about that. As much as we all like what has been done with the character of Captain Jack Sparrow and what Johnny Depp does, I'm thinking we've about played this thing out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with that.
Ryan, to the film version of the online game Warcraft, we got a cast. Who's in it?
Yes, sir. Confirmed for this cast, we got Paula Patton, Travis Fimmel, Ben Foster, Toby Kebbell, and Rob Kaczynski, as well as Dominic Cooper is going to be in the film known as Warcraft. It's going to hit theaters everywhere on March the 11th of 2016.
I've never played the game, so I
Neither
have
have I.
no idea what the plot
Not a
is.
game person.
I don't know.
What's the plot of Warcraft? Anybody know?
I have no idea.
Nobody knows. Okay.
Because none of us play video games.
Yeah, really. All right, anybody. This is, softball here, folks.
Okay.
If you know movie trivia, you know this. What's the first rule of Fight Club?
Don't talk about Fight Club.
All right, David, tell me why that rule is being broken.
Well, Chuck Palahniuk is going around. He's been going around to all the different comic book companies and talking about a sequel to Fight Club.
Oh, yes.
He doesn't say if it's a sequel to the 99 movie or to his novel, but it doesn't really matter. Palahniuk says the sequel will be told from the at first submerged perspective of Tyler Durden as he observes the day-to-day tedium of the narrator's life. Because 20th Century Fox created the convention of calling the protagonist Jack, he's going to call him Cornelius. He was referred to as Joe in the book, so it doesn't line up there either. He's living a compromised life with a failing marriage, unsure about his passion for his wife. Likewise, Marla is unsatisfied and dreams of accessing the wild man she once fell in love with. She tampers with the small pharmacy of drugs that her husband needs to suppress Tyler, and go figure, Tyler reemerges to terrorize their lives.
Wow, this
Did
seems
he
like,
kill Tyler at
This
the
seems
end?
like they're going way off of the Fight Club
Do you
thing.
remember Fight Club?
Of course.
Are you sure?
Yeah, well, it was obviously himself, I know, but like but when he killed himself, it killed Tyler, but he didn't really kill himself.
I think that was more symbolic, really.
Yeah, but so I guess he comes
I'm sure
back.
he would still need, after his stay in the hospital, he would still need some drugs to keep his other personality.
I'm going to admit this right here on the air. I have not seen Fight Club.
Oh, you got to
Oh
see
my
it.
gosh!
And now I feel like a jerk.
You got to see that
No.
movie, man.
You don't need to feel like a jerk.
I've
You
spoiled
might
it for
actually prompt me to go and watch it now.
Oh, it's great,
it.
dude. It's crazy.
Or listen to the audiobook or something.
No, just watch the movie.
Okay.
It's like a rite of passage as a young man. You have to watch that movie. It's like,
oh, it is not.
Yes, it is.
It's just a good movie.
And I'll say that it has nothing to do with the plot of the film. It has to do with the fact that I'm not really big on Brad Pitt. I've never found him to be all that good. What I've really liked Brad Pitt in is the Oceans 11, 12, and 13.
This is Brad Pitt at his finest. This is who Brad Pitt really is.
Okay. I agree.
It's like everything trashy and rough and crass about Brad Pitt in one. Yeah.
Have you seen it? I've never seen Fight Club either.
Okay.
The only movie that I ever like, and I'm the same way. I do not like Brad Pitt as an actor, as a person, or anything.
Stop.
The only movie that I've ever liked that he was in was Troy.
Troy's like the worst movie he was ever in.
That's my favorite movie, and that's just how I roll.
Troy's like the suckiest movie ever made.
Well, I like.
No. Troy was a good movie. What you talking about, Willis? He played Achilles. Come on.
I think it's important to note, like, Dustin is the guy that, like, he's the one guy in the world to be like, I really liked Dreamcatcher.
Exactly. No,
that's right, and I'm proud of it.
He's like, Battleship had me in tears.
Battleship did have me in tears, but not for that reason that you're thinking.
John Carter moved me.
My favorite movie is Geely.
Battleship had me in tears because of how bad it was.
Ben Affleck's
my
best performance.
Gosh. Anyway, we're off the subject here. Let's get back on the topic here. And apparently, Kristen Bell's character, Veronica Mars, is coming to the big screen. Tell me the latest, David.
Yeah, Rob Thomas, the creator of the show, has announced on the Kickstarter page that the project will be released in theaters on March 14th, 2014, the one-year anniversary of the precedent-setting kickoff to the project. Thomas said that Warner Brothers had the March 14th date circled for quite some time and hoped it would stay open. Luckily, no other teen detective movie decided to open in the middle of March.
Dude, I love what they did with Kickstarter.
Yeah. I've never seen an episode of Veronica Mars, though.
Have you ever been on Kickstarter?
Show, man.
Is it good?
Yeah, it is a good show.
It's a good show.
Kristen Bell makes it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, and Kickstarter, what a great, the video they did, if you haven't seen it, look it up. It was awesome.
I will.
I love Kickstarter. I've funded probably 10 projects. I'm always on Kickstarter. I love it.
Let's go over to Kevin Smith, David. He's known for films like Clerks, the Jay and Silent Bob films. I love Clerks. Yeah. I even like Clerks 2, which wasn't as good as the original Clerks, but it was actually pretty good. He's writing a movie entitled Tusk. What do you know about it?
Well, director Kevin Smith had planned to have his newest film, Tusk, a horror film about a walrus man, ready to submit to Sundance, which would mark the 20th anniversary of Clerks going to Sundance. But he revealed on his blog that he won't be finished with it in time for the submission deadline. He says that most of the film is in the can, but they still have 2 more shooting days in Los Angeles to wrap the film, with the performer playing the role of investigator Guy Lapointe. He says it will be late December, early January before that can happen. He does say he'll screen the film for his Smodcast fans without the Lapointe footage, and he'll reveal the details regarding the screening via his podcast.
Okay.
This was a thing he and his friend created, Scott Mosier, while they were on a podcast, and they actually had the fans vote to whether or not they should make it into a film.
Sounds like they were on something else when they created it.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
More than likely, if you've ever heard the Smodcast, you can actually hear them doing things.
I'm going to have to look that up. All right, gentlemen, stop me if you've heard this plot before. Historical event movie teamed with a fictional love story. Titanic, Pearl Harbor.
Gone with the Wind?
No.
Yeah. How about Pompeii? Ryan?
Oh, actually, I'm looking forward to Pompeii.
You've seen the trailer.
Been there.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, Pompeii is directed by Resident Evil Paul W.S. Anderson. It stars Game of Thrones Kit Harington, Emily Browning, and, speaking of Jack Bauer, Kiefer Sutherland. It's set in 79 A.D. Milo tries to save the love of his life from marrying an evil senator, played by Kiefer Sutherland, as the disaster known as Mount Vesuvius begins to erupt, and it's going to open up in theaters everywhere on February the 21st, 2014. I saw the trailer, thought it was okay. I may see it because of Jack Bauer.
I was a little bit disappointed, but I'm excited anyway, because I've always thought, like, this would be a freaking cool story.
Visually, it looks great. I'm just hoping it's not like Titanic, where I'm rooting for a character to die.
I'm really ashamed right now, Steve. Titanic's like one of my favorite movies.
Oh. Gosh. I've seen it once.
Wait, what? You don't stay behind the glass. That's where you belong.
I've seen it
once. And now Josh is like, I like Geely.
But they've already taken my man card, so I have nothing left. But no, I love Titanic, dude. It's James Cameron. It's one of the greatest movies ever, dude. It's one of the highest grossing film like ever, besides Avatar.
Avatar, yeah.
So
my two favorite parts of Titanic, and then we got to go to break.
Oh
my two favorite parts of Titanic: when the ship is up in the air at a 90-degree angle, the guy falls off the back of the ship, and as he's falling into the water, smacks into the propeller.
That was my
and
favorite
you heard it. I loved it. And
my
the second
favorite
favorite part is when Leonardo DiCaprio goes bye-bye.
Nope, the beginning and the end. That's it. Boom.
No class here.
Sorry.
No class.
All right. We'll get some quick hitters here when we come back about some release dates, and we'll get into some on Blu-ray coming out next week, and we'll get into TV news. That's next here on the Entertainment Roundtable.
Hope you got your popcorn, because we're back to the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
Welcome back into the Entertainment Roundtable, bringing you back to the sounds of the TV show How I Met Your Mother. We'll get back to that in a minute. David, couple of quick movie notes here. Biopics, sometimes good, other times not so much. You've seen plans for a movie entitled The Fifth Beatle. What about it?
Right. It's based on a graphic novel about Brian Epstein's discovery and cultivation of the Beatles. He was their manager. Vivek J. Tiwari, who wrote the graphic novel, will be penning the screenplay for Yes Man, Down with Love director Peyton Reed.
When's this supposed to come out? They haven't given a date?
I actually would be excited to see that movie.
It actually could be interesting, yeah. And then you do have release dates for the new Bourne film starring Jeremy Renner and a Scarlett Johansson film called Lucy.
Right. The new Bourne film is going to come out August 14th, 2015, and it will be directed by Fast and Furious Helmer Justin Lin. And Scarlett Johansson's Lucy, she plays a drug mule who acquires superhuman powers after inadvertently ingesting a mysterious substance. The film will be released on August 8th, 2014.
That's a very odd premise.
That is an odd premise.
Morgan Freeman's in it, though.
Morgan Freeman.
Well, and I might see it. I've got to see a preview of it first.
She's too
The
young.
first time I saw Scarlett Johansson.
But Scarlett Johansson's too old to play his wife, so.
Oh, wow.
Jab.
Wow.
Coming out on Blu-ray next Tuesday, speaking of Paul Walker, Fast and Furious 6 is officially able to be purchased on Tuesday, along with the animated Despicable Me 2. Got a 50th anniversary edition of Mary Poppins. If you're a TV series collector, you can get Doc Martin, Season 6. I don't even know that show. What is it? Anybody?
No, nothing.
Nope.
It's about Doc Martin. He's a great
thank
guy.
You. Appreciate that. Season 8 of the animated show Futurama. Season 3, Part 1 of Teen Wolf.
I've been waiting for that for a while.
And the Doctor Who 50th anniversary special, The Day of the Doctor, which you're probably in on.
God.
Oh, definitely.
Don't get this guy started with Doctor Who.
Hey, it almost beat, in limited release, it almost beat Catching Fire's first night. It was only out.
Per screen.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm like, really?
Yeah, per screen average.
But what if it was like one
screen?
screen?
Average, but it's Doctor Who, man.
It was like one screen.
Dustin, did you ever get to see the movie Rush?
Oh, it's a good movie.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Jacob, myself, do you like it?
I loved it.
You liked it?
I did.
It's the rivalry and the friendship between the Formula One drivers James Hunt and Niki Lauda from the 1970s. Ryan, you have found out when we can bring it home.
Yes, sir. Bring home Rush on Blu-ray or DVD on January the 28th with exclusive bonus features of behind the scenes of the making of the film, the real story behind the film, and Ron Howard's A Director's Approach.
I'm in.
Oh, yeah, I like it.
It's
I'm in.
part of my. It will be part of my collection.
Yep.
All right, over to television here. And David, we started CBS. We came back to the music of How I Met Your Mother. It's slated to end after 9 seasons on the air. But in the process, we'll cross the 200-episode mark as well. Do they have plans to mark a special occasion here? Because they did it for the 100th episode. I would assume they're going to do it for the 200th.
Yes, sir. The 200th episode will not be narrated by future Ted, but by Kristen Milioti's character, the mother. Her character debuted in last season's finale and hasn't been really seen very much this season. But
and I think that's probably why. I think they've probably found that they have kind of underutilized her, and they need to bring her in more.
Well, Craig Thomas joked that we're going to be sick of her by the end of the series, so because she's about to be in it a lot.
She's going to have to be.
Well,
she hasn't been in the first half.
Hey, I hope something brings the show back for a minute before it ends.
Yeah, and the thing about it is I've seen some critics that say that that the show has redeemed itself this year.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's kind of like, and Ryan, you probably remember this, the last season of Chuck. It was kind of lackluster, but it was better than about 60 to 75% of the other crap that was on TV. That's kind of what How I Met Your Mother has turned in for me. I'm going to stick with it because I've been with it all 8.5 years so far, so I want to see how it ends. And it is better than about 60 to 75% of the other junk that's on television right now, but please get better.
You know how they redeemed it this season is by doing flashbacks to before when the characters were actually interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And the couple of times that we have seen the mother, it's been intriguing.
It has. It's actually been well done
more
so far.
We need more. Over to NBC and another Monday night show, The Blacklist. They have finally found something that is rating success on NBC on Monday night, the 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central Time slot, or at least we think so. Ryan, does NBC think so?
Yes, they do. The Blacklist has officially been renewed for a full 22-episode second season, so you better sit tight, relax, and enjoy the show because James Spader ain't going nowhere.
I like it.
I can't sit tight and relax at the same time.
No, not with this show.
It's a medical condition I have.
Yeah. Well, and not with this show, quite frankly.
Yeah, no, not with this show.
I like it. Over to FX as we move over to cable. David, FX apparently has signed a deal with Louis C.K. I thought they already had a show with him.
Yeah, but they have signed a huge deal, like an overall deal with FX Productions and Louis. He could just direct whatever he wants to. He can make whatever he wants to. That's the gist of it. Like he can make
come on in, do whatever you want.
Series he wants to. He can direct, write, produce, everything. And that's the way they would have to do it with Louis. That's the way they got him on his show. Because he was just like, I want to do what I want to do, and you can't tell me what not to do.
I know it's won awards. I've tried to watch a couple episodes of Louis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that impressed.
I really like it.
Do you?
I do. It's a really dark humor, and at times it's not even funny. And I like
That's what I'm saying. Apparently, maybe I just hit the 2 least funny episodes that are out there.
Did you see the first episode?
No.
No? Okay.
I got into it way late.
They do this great thing where it's all very realistic. And he's on a date with this girl, and it's like 15-minute interval of the show, and then like he tries to lean. He's gotten awkward. He tries to lean in for a kiss, and she actually runs, and there's a helicopter waiting for her, and she gets into the helicopter and flies away.
Okay, I might have to actually.
It's really good. You just have to roll with it.
And then we'll get into a show that I actually do really, really like a whole lot, and that would be Longmire. Ryan, A&E, several of us on this panel. Jeff is big into this. I don't know about anybody else when it comes to Longmire, but what's the future hold for this show?
Yeah, they've decided to renew it for a 10-episode third season. We'll see all new episodes in 2014, I suspect.
That I can't wait for.
I don't think anyone can wait for that. Longmire is awesome.
And then Jacob tells me about this. Halle Berry teaming with the History Channel. Apparently she's set to executive produce a Hannibal miniseries. And I'm not talking about the serial killer that's been portrayed by Anthony Hopkins 3 times. Instead, this is about the feared African general. It hasn't been given an air date yet, but apparently History Channel's getting big into history miniseries. We saw The Bible came out.
Very successful.
Absolutely. And I think now they're starting to say, you know what? We can make dramatic miniseries out of historical events.
Did they do Hatfields and McCoys? I've heard that was
They
really
did Hatfields and McCoys, too. Yeah. So
successful.
apparently they're going to continue that, and I couldn't be happier. Hopefully they're not going to over-dramatize it, and maybe they'll just, kind of stick to actual history.
They stuck to it with the first 2. I think if they can continue down that path, they'll be good.
Yeah, because Gods and Generals was a gigantic success, and you guys loved it.
I did.
Made it successful single-handedly.
I did. You want to know why I loved it?
Yeah.
Because it dealt with the history of the Civil War.
Yeah, apparently everybody else agrees with you, hence Titanic making $1 bajillion and Gods and Generals making $2.
Still don't understand that.
No, the fact is...
It was like 9 hours long, and it was boring.
And they were going to do the last full measure, turn it into the movie as well, which would have bookmarked the first 2 movies of Gods and Generals in Gettysburg, but they just couldn't... There wasn't the outpour for Gods and Generals that there was for Gettysburg. But Gods
Gettysburg
and Generals
was a good movie.
And the thing is Gods and Generals was based on the southern aspect of the war. There wasn't very much of a northern aspect of that, as in the fact of you didn't predominantly see the 20th Maine with Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. You saw predominantly Stonewall Jackson and his life, how it affected him at VMI and forward till his death. It was surrounded around mostly with Stephen Lang portraying Stonewall Jackson.
Which actually makes it somewhat of a surprise for the area that we are in.
Yeah, I was going to say...
didn't become a bigger hit.
I was going to say, me and Steve are here alone. I think we're surrounded by Confederates
here.
Yeah,
up north, it wasn't as big as it was down here because it actually showed that southern aspect.
I'm going to get thrown off the air if I say what I want to say, but no one likes to spend 2 hours with the losers. I'm never going to be asked back, and I'm probably going to be found.
I'm going to research his family background and find out, and then come back and say, "Hey, look."
I was about to say, three of us here were born north of the Mason-Dixon line.
Someone's going to knife me in the streets. But actually, I am actually
no, you weren't
related,
born north of the Mason-Dixon line. You're Maryland. Born and bred, so you're slightly below it, but you were Union.
A few people removed from, but we are related to actually Sherman. So there you go.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
we
now
burned
we
your
know
house.
why he gets knifed.
Yeah,
really. We know why.
Now we know why if he gets attacked in the parking lot. We'll know
I
why.
know. I'm wearing a New York Yankees hat.
Yeah, really.
It's
By
distinct.
the way, just to let you know, I got my World Series hat from the Red Sox out in the car.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I still have your hat at home. So
at least he kept it and didn't burn it.
Well, no, what's funny is once in a while my brother will just grab a hat and it'll be that. So we're sitting there. I'm like, Dino, this looks ridiculous. So we'll be like sitting eating somewhere with a Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees hat on.
Didn't they just get an Ellsbury from Boston?
They can have him. They can overpay for him. I don't have a problem with that. That's a sports program for another day. Back to television and the Sci-Fi Network, David. Word has it people who were fans of the 2010 movie Legion could be some happy people?
I doubt it.
Oh.
Sci-Fi Channel they're putting out a Legion TV show, but they're calling it Dominion. I don't really know what it's about other than it's based on the movie.
I've got to jump in here.
Yeah, please
and
do.
just be completely ADD. But I watched Sharknado, guys.
Did you?
And I loved every moment of it. It was the best bad movie
In
I've
all of
ever
its
seen.
cheesiness.
It was the best bad movie I've ever seen. I was literally
so bad it was good?
I had no idea they could go that bad. And I'm going to spoil it for anybody, but the fact that the girl fell out of the helicopter, a random shark ate her, and then that random shark is the one that landed on the guy, and he saws his way out somehow without sawing her inside, even though they swallowed him with the chainsaw on and cut out. At that point, I was like, no. And the best part is I watched the behind the scenes, and the director thought he was making Jaws. He thought they were making the greatest movie about sharks ever made, and that made it better.
Hint number 1, Spielberg is not your last name.
It's not, and here's the funny thing. I was thinking to myself, I said, I could really just quit my job making good movies and spend time making these terrible movies, but I don't think I could even possibly make a movie that bad because I think it takes someone not being aware and thinking that they're making a great film to make a movie that bad.
Your problem number 1 with Sharknado?
Yeah.
It stars Ian Ziering.
Oh my gosh. I started looking up the cast members.
I'm having flashbacks to that stupid button.
Okay, there's a movie called Shoot 'Em Up. It has Clive Owen, Paul Giamatti. I thought they were making a satire of action films, but we actually watched the behind the scenes features. This dude actually believed that he was making the greatest movie of all time.
What it takes to make a terribly good
movie. There it is. Hey, what was the other Johnny Depp film? Ed Wood?
Yeah.
This is a guy who made a career on making bad films, but he thought they were all great.
That's the
Think
idea.
about that.
It's the idea.
They were in a way.
All right, 2 more things on TV, and then we can kind of go back to roundtabling here if we've got the time. Ryan, what about the Weinstein Company and their plans to make TV series out of some of their recent movies? Give me a little more on this.
Sure, they're going to attempt to bring 2 properties from Miramax known as Sin City and the Mist to the small screen, where the former set quickly followed the 2014 release of Sim City, A Dame to Die For, whereas with the Mist, they want to make it a 10-episode miniseries, but as I have said before, and I'll say it again, no creativity in Hollywood, and they're not waking up, and they're not smelling any coffee either.
Well, and then there's this. How well can Sin City translate to TV?
Not
I mean,
at all.
are we talking like pay cable? Are we talking Netflix? Or are we talking like putting it on the Sci-Fi Channel?
We're not sure what network they're going to ship it to, but either way, I hope they don't pick it up because it's a dumb idea to begin with.
Oh, unless they did Disney Channel. Unless it was like really toned down.
I want to talk about not doing justice to Sin City. Put it on the Disney Channel. And I can't believe that we're doing this, but Jacob had to do it to keep the streak alive. He couldn't be here this week, but he sends along the story, and we've now marked 3 weeks in a row for a topic on a cable news network.
Wow.
We'd never done that in the history of this show.
I feel dirty that
until
I contributed to
2
it.
weeks ago. And now all of a sudden, 3 weeks in a row. CNN's chief Jeff Zucker says that the news channel cannot survive on news alone. So why are you calling yourself a news channel? Anyway, he's suggesting, as he put it, more of an attitude and take. He's promising an overhaul of HLN, which is the former headline news channel. States that during the week it could be less talking head in prime time and maybe more airings of documentary films that they have been airing on the weekend time. Let's face it, they got to do something getting trounced in the ratings by Fox News to the point where they're neck and neck with MSNBC in the cellar. So they got to do something over there. But the question is whether airing docudramas during the weeknights are it.
Oh.
They're not.
I won't watch it anyway.
Yeah, really. Yikes. All right, let's kind of go back to this here. Worst thing you've ever seen, Sharknado?
It possibly could be. I think it is.
But you loved every minute.
Well, here's the deal: is it exceeded my expectations of how terrible I thought it could be. That's what I'm going to say.
As long as we can exceed your expectations, that's what we're all about. How's the movie Mom's Night Out coming?
That's coming along great. We
Good
just
deal.
watched the locked edit. Looks great. Going to be
Cool.
in theaters next year.
Cannot wait for it. Ryan, how can we find you online, sir?
Go to Facebook.com/The RPM Show, film or TV. We'd love to hear from you.
Next weekend going to be a big weekend, my friend.
Yes, it will be. I'm looking forward to it and getting back out to the Cineplex. Can't wait to see all the new films.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Hopefully we can see a couple of them before we get on the air next week, okay?
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it. Thank you for having me on the show. You guys take care and don't work too hard.
We'll do it. We'll talk to you next week. David, we can find you online too. Where?
Yes, sir. For my original comedy shorts comedy web series and short films, visit maladjusted.tv.
Very good. Dustin, thank you very much for running this. You feel like sticking around for another hour?
Why not?
Let's do Fastest Hour in Radio. That's next right here. Superstation 101 WIDE.